the respected teacher and coach decides to leave Rose Hill. We'll give details on Austin Wuthrich's departure to Derby.
And is the unthinkable going to happen in the OCC race? As the final points come in, the sophomores and seniors are neck and neck. Who's going to be the winner? These stories and much more coming your way on this year's final Channel 7 News.
Bailey, welcome to Channel 7 News.
And I'm Dakota Morgan. First, it was Ray Bowes, then Melissa Segovia. Now another teacher and coach is leaving Rose Hill in pursuit of another position. Let's head over to Aislinn Robert, who has more details on the resignation of Austin Wuthrich. Aislinn?
He's at Rose Hill, teaching social studies and coaching football and track. But earlier this spring, he had an opportunity he could not pass up.
Recently, defense football coach and social studies teacher Austin Wuthrich has made his decision to resign from his position at Rose Hill High School.
Like I said, just kind of the opportunity for just kind of something different, So it's still going to be football and track, some of the kind of same coaching positions I'm doing here, but it's going to be at 6A. And like I said, I have some pretty good friends that are on staff that I'm looking forward to coach with.
Wuthrich went on to tell us a bit more about his choice to transfer to Derby at 6A high school.
We teach in American government, American history, which are two subjects that I really like. So the teaching opportunity as well is something I'm looking forward to as well.
He told us that he felt the change was necessary in order to grow further in his career. He goes on to mention that he is grateful for his time at Rose Hill and giving him an opportunity.
5th year here. I live in Rose Hill. My wife teaches 2nd grade in Rose Hill. We really like Rose Hill. So yeah, it was definitely not an easy decision. Like I said, sometimes you have opportunities and they're not all like clear cut. 100%. I know this is going to be the best thing for me. So you got to weigh the pros and cons, and you got to do kind of what your gut feels sometimes. And sometimes you don't know if it's going to be better for you or not. Change makes you better, right? So you face some pressure, you face some difficulties. It's going to make you better. So I'm thinking it'll help me out in my teaching career, coaching career. Help me out, help me get better. So that's kind of what I'm doing it for.
The district is currently accepting applications for Wuthrich's social studies position. At this time, it is uncertain who will fill Wuthrich's position on the football and track coaching staffs. Sarah, back to you.
Earlier this year, Channel 7 News reported on the close competition for the OCC points race. At the time, it was only a passing thought that the sophomore class could overtake the seniors and win the trip to Worlds of Fun. Is it going to be a reality? Vlad Bunderchuk has more.
For many years, seniors have been champions of the OCC competition, but 2018 may become an exception. Throughout the year, the OCC competition has been getting more and more intense. Right now, sophomores are leading the score with a 3-point lead over the seniors. Does the senior class still have a chance? I talked to Becky Evans, the student sponsor at the high school, about the seniors' chances of making a comeback in the OCC competition, and if any other class has ever won in the history of the competition.
Well, this group of seniors believe that when they were sophomores, they were close to winning. I have no recollection of this, but that's what they think. The seniors can win if they win dodgeball with attendance and they win the dodgeball tournament, and the sophomores really would have to get 3rd or 4th for either one of those attendance or placings.
Evans also told me about new system for OCC points for the next year, which is going to include more student involvement.
We're looking at ways to scan in the kids, so instead of us marking students off, they get scanned, and then somehow we create a spreadsheet so the kids can keep track of things they've gone to. But the idea is we can get kids to more games like football, soccer, volleyball, basketball, things in the springtime, and kids can earn points. And then when the OCC trip comes, they have to have earned so many points to go on the OCC trip. Because OCC is class competition, participation, and we do have kids who go on the trip who the only thing they've done all year is community service day. So we want them to participate in school activities, and then the reward is they get to go do something with their class.
The Raj Bowl tournament took place on May 1st, with the senior class taking first place and the sophomores taking fourth. This put the seniors back in first place, making them the official victors of this year's OCC competition. Vlad Bondarchuk, Channel 7 News.
Coming up next, our very own Micah Streeter is close to putting the finishing touches on the project he's been working on for a few years. We take a look at his cinematic directorial debut.
And later, Sarah sits down with KWCH Channel 12 news anchor Scott Evans and Wichita State's Paul Suellentrop. Stay with us. We'll be right back. If you're looking for a family-friendly establishment to eat breakfast, lunch, or just enjoy a warm beverage with a loved one, Coffee with Friends is the business for you. Recently, A.J. Taylor asked Coffee with Friends owner Cheryl Otto about why and how she started her beloved community business.
Cheryl Otto, owner of Coffee with Friends, began in Rose Hill 2 years ago when her granddaughter gave her the idea of Coffee with Friends. Otto didn't think she was going to start the coffee shop because of how long it has been since she had worked. After being asked multiple times if she was going to start a coffee shop, she then began to pray to God that everything would fall into place.
It kind of escalated after that, so it was really suggestions from several people around Rose Hill.
Otto then went to describe what her favorite aspect of Coffee with Friends was.
Oh, I like it for the social aspect. I've met so many new people and made so many friends, and I know it sounds cliche, but it's the truth. I have everybody that comes into my coffee shop. I count them as friends, not customers, but truly friends. I've gone out to eat with them. I've gone to movies with them. It's just, they're friends. And that's the best part about Coffee with Friends.
A.J. Taylor, Channel 7 News.
It's been a long time coming, but Channel 7 News content director Micah Streeter is nearing the completion of his movie Night. Dakota has more on the upcoming release.
Cinema is a generational art which very few prevail in, but this extraordinary route is being pursued, and quite well, by local amateur director Micah Streeter. In speaking with Streeter, he told us that filmmaking is the only career he has ever considered.
From when I was a little kid, that was the only thing I ever wanted to do. That was the only job I ever wanted to have. It was never anything else. So at a certain point I realized that there was nothing stopping me from making movies. That was about age 13. And I started writing screenplays and making little films on my iPad.
We asked Streeter about his current film, Night, which is scheduled to release later this year. He told us the origins and initial idea.
A lot of different ideas came together, and one of them was to make like a horror movie. The other idea that came was what was sort of emotionally on my mind, which was this idea that as humans, when we don't communicate with each other and when we stay silent about really important things emotionally, it's really destructive towards any relationship.
Streeter went on to talk about how important collaboration is in the filmmaking process.
At a certain point, if it's just your ideas, It's just what's inside me as a director. The film's going to be really boring. That's where the collaborators come in. The actors who went through a lot of hardship on this film, and but they brought their personalities to it. Many of the actors I wrote the parts for.
We spoke to one of these collaborators, Junior Michael Diaz, about Streeter's filmmaking and what it's like to work on one of his films.
I think it's really, really cool that he's trying to do something that seems so kind of large and out of this world for somebody from small town Kansas. I think it's really great, and I think he's pretty talented and he's got a future. Anytime you try to take a process like that and put it into action, it's really hard. There was a lot of rough nights of really grinding, trying to get this thing done, but overall I'm really glad that I got to experience it, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Diaz's comments were further emphasized by those of Devin McMahons, a junior at Rose Hill High that also worked on Streeter's films.
It's amazing, kind of having dreams like that, just kind of coming out of a small little town. And he's a great guy, and he works hard, and you can tell that he really wants to do this dream. So I spend a lot of my time just I sacrificed a lot of my time just so that way he can achieve his dream.
In addition to Night, Streeter has been involved in the development of several short films, such as Winterbottom, Frank, and Fidget Center.
I started out with iPad short films, when those were kind of fun things that you showed to the family, and those were little. And then I made a film with a friend of mine called Frank for this film race, the Down to the Wire film race, which was more serious. And then I started making Night, but then the next year at the film race I made a film called Fidget Center, and that was a crew of over 20 people, and we were using a 22-pound camera and a studio, making music by ourselves, blah blah blah, and that was that would have been a dream the year before. And a few years before Night, it would have been a dream to make something that's going to be this complete. So I think I'll make Night, and then the next thing that comes out will hopefully be more a step forward rather than a step back.
Dakota Morgan, Channel 7 News.
Spring appears to finally be here, but so is severe weather. What does the next few days look like? Charlie has the answers after the break.
And later, what can we expect from the Rocket football program going forward? Skylar has an exclusive sit-down with the new head coach, Lee Weber. We'll be right back after a word from our advertisers.
Starting off with our current conditions, will be cloudy with 68 degrees, precipitation chance 20%, humidity 42%, and wind 14 miles per hour. Moving on to today's forecast, it will be 88 degrees and cloudy. The low will be 61 degrees, wind 18 miles per hour, and humidity 50%. So, unlikely to rain today. Going on to our weekend weather, we'll of course start off with Saturday, which will be cloudy with a high of 93 and a low of 52. Humidity 43% and wind 24 miles per hour. So, a little windy on Saturday. Going to Sunday, it will be partly cloudy with a high of 75 and a low of 53. Humidity 57% and 16 miles per hour. Now, heading to our 5-day forecast. Wednesday, it will be a high of 91 degrees and a low of 64 degrees, sunny. Thursday, storms and a high of 89, low of 68. Friday will be a high of 91 and a low of 70, partly cloudy. Saturday, cloudy with a high of 93 and a low of 52. Sunday will be a high of 75, partly cloudy, and a low of 53. Sarah sits down with Scott Evans of KWCH and Paul Suellentrop of Wichita State.
Welcome back. I'm sitting here with KWCH news anchor Scott Evans and a member of the Wichita State Communications Department, Paul Suellentrop. So Scott, how did you get into broadcasting journalism?
Both my mom and dad were involved in it. My dad's still actively involved in TV broadcast journalism. And I took a journalism class in high school, newspaper, but I wanted to be a doctor growing up and went to college to do that. But when biology and I started to butt heads, I started to look for something else and ended up being part of a commercial and reading a teleprompter and had a lot of fun reading it and got into it. Obviously, there's a lot more to journalism than reading a teleprompter, but that's really what made me say, you know what, maybe my dad's profession and my mom's old profession is something I want to do. I grew up watching my dad do it, and it wasn't until then that I decided to really pursue it.
And how long have you been working at KWCH?
3.5 years.
And what would your advice be for aspiring broadcast journalists in the high school level?
To get involved as much as possible. Find ways to tell stories. Whatever the stories are, tell them and practice that. Tell them to other people, write them. And then if you're really interested in it, find ways to show up at news stations and shadow people and get involved so that you can see how it works. And then, like anything, practice, practice, practice.
Great, thank you. And then, Paul, why did you choose to get into sports journalism as a career?
Well, I always liked sports. I was always a reasonably good writer. I loved to read, so it just kind of seemed to be a natural thing that I enjoyed and I was reasonably competent at, and kind of fell into the first job and made my way from there.
And you've spent many years working at the Wichita Eagle, but recently made a transition to Wichita State. What led you to leave the Eagle, and how has the transition been so far?
Transition's been good. Wichita State's been a very good place to work. And I always tell people it is a job that's very similar to what I did when I was at the Eagle. When I covered Wichita State for the Eagle, I'm doing a lot of the same things, talking to a lot of the same people, writing very similar stories. But in other ways, it's very different now that I work for Wichita State. I made the transition back in September, and I've been at the Eagle for 17 years, and began over the last 2 or 3 years to wonder if I needed something different. It's a tumultuous time in the newspaper industry. I've got 2 kids in college, and so you begin to wonder about your future, all those kind of things, and this came up, and it's worked out well.
All right, thank you for your time. Up next is Skylar Brown with sports.
Welcome back. I'm Skylar Brown, and it's been a crazy few weeks for the new football coach, Lee Weber. He was gracious enough to give me a few minutes of his time when he came down to meet his players and coaching staff.
Skylar Brown, welcome back. I'm here with the new head coach of Rose Hill Rocket football program, Coach Lee Weber. Thank you for coming.
Hey, pleasure to be here.
So, why did you choose Rose Hill of all the schools to be a coach at?
Well, I really appreciate the tradition Rose Hill's had, and I think there's a hunger to get back there. And so, that was an easy choice for me. And it seems like a place where it fits my skill set the best. One of my specialties is turning things around, and I'm excited for the turnaround here.
So you feel that the Rockets could have done better under the last leadership?
Well, I think the last leadership did a really good job and put some things in place. Sometimes things just don't work the way that everybody wants them to. And, I think change will be good. I have the utmost respect for Coach Bowes and the previous coaching staff. There's a lot of those guys are going to return and coach for us. But into everything is, sometimes a new start is good. And I think that we have a lot of potential in the future. So moving forward, I think it's going to be good.
I completely agree. So what are your prospects for the team going into this next season?
Well, until I live it, I don't know. And I think that we have a lot of talent coming back from talking to Coach Bowes and some of the other coaches. And I think that our schedule is favorable for some wins here along the ways. But it's going to be 1-0. We're going to try to go 1-0 every week and every day. And so, regardless of our talent level, our job is to build a process that creates a winning tradition here. And so, regardless of how fast or strong we are, we need to always get faster, stronger, bigger, quicker, and build that, and the wins will come. So it's all about the process. And so, I don't want to get focused too much on talent. I think prospects-wise, we have the potential to be great just because of the process we're going to have.
Okay. So jumping away from the sports aspect of it, are you going to be coming to teach at Rose Hill?
Yes, I'm going to be teaching strength and conditioning 6 hours out of the day. So I'll be involved with all of our athletes and hopefully all of our students make Rockets stronger.
Okay, well, we're very excited to have you, and thank you for coming.
Hey, it's a pleasure. Thank you.
And after the break, I'll be back with your spring sports updates.
Transitioning into girls soccer, they're keeping a 3-7 record, losing to Circle and Bueller, but beating El Dorado. Goalkeeper Reagan Evans thinks progress has been made this season despite the record.
There are definitely improvements. It goes along with every team, whether it's communication or just simple foot skills, getting touches on the ball, that kind of thing. Every team has things they need to improve on, so there's definitely improvements that do need to be worked on, I guess.
With a rough start, swimming has been keeping a close grip on doing their best with participating in 2 Hutchinson Invitationals and also the El Dorado Invitational, placing 4th at the Hutchinson and El Dorado Invitationals, but placing 5th at the other Hutchinson Invitational. Baseball is on a 16-game losing streak, and it doesn't look like there's going to be any recovering this season for our Rockets. Softball, however, starting up a winning streak with 4 wins so far and a record of 10-6, and it looks like they're on track to beat last season. The girls are scheduled to play Wellington next Thursday. Moving over to track, the boys played pre-state at WCU, and if you'd like to check out the results for that, you can go to rocketathletics.com. They have also played Kingman and Clearwater, placing 4th against Kingman and 10th against Clearwater. However, with the girls, they played the same things, placing 5th against Kingman and 7th against Clearwater. Golf has been keeping steady after a rough start, playing against Augusta, Circle, and Derby. Placing 2nd against Augusta, but placing 3rd against Circle and Derby. With everything that's happening, make sure to stay up to date with your Rocket sports by visiting rocketathletics.com and by tuning into the show. Sarah and Dakota, back to you.
Thanks, Skylar. On behalf of everyone here at Channel 7 News, we sincerely thank you for taking time to watch our show this year. We hope you've enjoyed our growth and development.
But we are only just beginning. We are planning on adding so much more next year to make our show even better, and we can't wait to get started. For the final time this year, I'm Sarah Bailey.
And I'm Dakota Morgan. Thanks again for watching. See you in August on Channel 7.